Hi, this is Pat Johnson, your sociology instructor. In this mini lecture, we're going to continue our discussion about marriage and talk about who one marries and how that choice is made. Basically, there are two types of marriage patterns, meaning romantic-based marriage and arranged marriages. We in the United States are more familiar with the type of marriage called a romantic-based marriage. In other words, a marriage where we choose who we are going to marry. These are typical in industrial and post-industrial societies. In more recent decades, a lot of romantic-based marriages have been started on the internet using various apps or websites where one looks through a database of potential partners. But again, this is romantic-based, meaning you have a choice. The advantages of marriages based on romance are, first of all, you get to choose. You have a say-so. You have usually the only say-so in who you're going to marry. Also, there is usually physical attraction involved. Romantic-based marriages are not the only pattern of marriage, though, in our world. In many societies, there are marriages that are arranged. Arranged marriages are very common in pre-industrial cultures, both current day and in the past. Arranged marriages can take many forms. They can be as mild as the family suggesting suitable partners to the family choosing the partner. Now, what we're going to talk about here is not forced marriage, where usually the woman has no choice, where she will either be ostracized, hurt, or maybe even killed if she doesn't marry the partner, the man who her family has arranged. We're not talking about that here. We're talking about other forms of arranged marriage where the families of the two partners are involved in scoping out who would be a suitable person for their child to marry. And again, this could be the family saying, these are people we think you might consider, to this is a person you should consider, to we would really like you to marry this person. And in some cases, the person has more say-so to dismiss the arranged potential partners, or there might be more pressure. In Indian society, in other words, in India, 3/4 of all Indians still prefer arranged marriages. There are many advantages. First of all, there is a much lower divorce rate in arranged marriages, whereas approximately 50% of marriages in our society that are romance-based end in divorce. In societies with arranged marriages, there's usually a single-digit divorce rate, maybe around 5%. So the divorce rate is much, much lower. There's also greater economic stability. One of the factors in families choosing a partner for their child is that the person, usually the man, has a stable occupation that can support the wife and the children. Also, one of the built-in advantages to arranged marriages are that the families agree and support the marriage. Otherwise, they would not choose or suggest that potential partner. So there isn't the problem of families hating each other, as can sometimes occur in romantic-based marriages. There's much more family support. Finally, one of the great advantages of arranged marriages is that it preserves the culture, often the religion, certainly the value system and the norms of that culture. There isn't the problem that we often find in romance-based marriages where you just don't get that person's background or where they're coming from as far as values or how they grew up. That's built in arranged marriages. So while I certainly have chosen for myself who I'm going to marry, I do see the advantages of arranged marriages, and I try not to be ethnocentric and just dismiss that form of marriage because it's not something that I'm familiar with. So in this mini lecture, we've talked about the advantages and disadvantages of romance-based marriages and arranged marriages.